welcome to an AMA with me, in which I want to give a status of the company and give a little overview of the status of the market and Bondex in this current market conditions. This is meant to be educational and also to be a bit of a bright light in the middle of all the noise and kind of bearish panic that we're having nowadays. And I want to start by regarding the market conditions. And I'm not going to use my own words, but mostly the best research that I found. So 2 questions on everyone's mind. Number 1 is crypto really the best next big thing, or was it really just hype? And number 2, how long will this pain last? So I'm going to borrow some words from Chris Dixon. He's one of the partners of A16 Set, 7 billion fund, and an OG internet investor. He equals the adoption of cryptocurrency and Web3 to the 2000s. To give you some statistics, people spent in the 2000s 30 minutes online compared to 7 hours today. Email was the most popular internet use case, and no one thought it had to be faster. And building on the internet was a weekend hobby. Trying to build an online business would make actually you the laughing stock of the town. So what is his advice? So he believes the story is repeating itself in Web3. It is not just hype. So what is his advice? 1, preserve money as an investor. This is not personal advice, but don't degen all the way. Preserve and focus on product cycles. Things that look interesting, smart people usually do because they're rich with product possibilities. So what the smartest people do on the weekend is what people else will do during the weekend in 10 years. We are the early adopters of Web3. It has never been a better time. It doesn't matter what the crypto price action is. Web3 is here to stay, and the adoption is going to increase and it's going to take over a lot of industries in the world. Second, how long is the pain going to last? This is what everyone's kind of question is. What is this bear market? Some people, they've seen this before and they're a little more at face. Some other people, this is new to them, and they're sweating, they're panicking. So I'm going to borrow some other words from Tom Loverro, also a crypto OG, and he's investing in companies like Coinbase, FTX, and Discord. So these are some of his predictions. Crypto prices will go lower this year, and prices will flatten until the second half of 2023. This is his predictions. 2 reasons he gives is 1, VCs and crypto investors suffer from recency bias. They're expecting a quick rebound, which is exactly what happened in 2022 COVID Black Swan. But we cannot expect another Black Swan event. There's not going to be another COVID that will increase the price automatically. So going to peak to floor historically takes 8-12 months, which means we have not seen the end of pain. So his advice is, if you're a company, have enough cash to get you through the next 24, 36 months and take time to prepare to the next bull cycle, because crypto and blockchain and Web3 will come back bigger than ever. So I just wanted to give that's some of the best information and research that I found about what is currently going on in the market, why you shouldn't panic, and you should be in this for the long term. So some other things I wanted to make clear is that Bondex is not just a cryptocurrency project. It is a tokenized professional network. That's the whole point. But we are addressing Web3 verticals. Web3, at the end of the day, is the infrastructure of this new version of the internet. And it involves a lot of verticals, including crypto, NFTs, blockchain, metaverse, gaming, DeFi. And what Bondex is decentralized talent protocol. We are going to provide the Web3 talent infrastructure that is needed to essentially for people to exchange their talent for work and money in exchange and time. That's the plan. So we're actually a protocol that's going to enable people to network, learn, work, and refer candidates to earn. That is what we are. That is what we're doing. Now, why is actually the bear market a gift for us? We are luckily placed by institutional investors who have backed us in this cycle and have deep pockets, and they're going to stay with us through this bear. So the advice that we just heard before, for the next 24, 36 months, we are secure. But this means that you have to be here for the long term. I keep hearing, when are we launching? When are you launching? That shouldn't be the focus. The focus is product. It is time to stop the excesses. The market went a bit too crazy. It overheated. People overhired. People spent too much on marketing. They based too many business models on marketing and speculation. It is time to get rid of that. It is time to focus on building things that people want. And that is exactly what Bondex is doing. That's why it is unique. And actually, this bear market is a gift. 1, because we're funded, there will be less competition, less noise, and less distractions while we build. Bear market is a time to build, and then again, take advantage of that next cycle. Secondly, in terms of the labor market for Web3, it is healthy. Even though cryptocurrency companies or some infrastructure exchanges might be laying off people, that's rebalancing by the high demand that other ones have. Coinbase might be firing 1,000 people. Binance is hiring 2,000 people. There's many other, basically verticals of Web3 who are very strong talent market demand still, and it will rebalance itself. But what is my advice? What is my advice during recession and unemployment and all these things that give a lot of people anxiety? The labor market is extremely inefficient. While there's unemployment in certain areas and certain companies laying people off, the certain demand for certain skills are very high in other areas. So my advice to you is learn, reskill and upskill as fast as possible. It has never been easier to learn than now. There's so much publicly available information that you can absorb and change. So you can actually, change your skills, learn more, and get the skills that are in demand. And that's how you're going to navigate any sort of recession or downturn, whether it's crypto or the general economy. So that's my advice to everyone. Learn, and learn. So that's some of the updates that I wanted to give everyone. And now I'd be happy to take some of the questions from the audience. So first question I get is, are we going to be listing on Binance? I hope so. We have close relationship with them. This is not an immediate thing. Our plan is to list all tier 1 and tier 2 exchanges where the time is right. But our focus right now is on product. We are actually a company that decided to go with tangible value. That's why we released a beta app that is a gamified, tokenized way of building your professional profile. That professional profiles that you're building is giving us a lot of wealth and data that will get monetized. But the difference is, instead of a Web2 value flow in which the middlemen keep all of that money from monetizing your data, which is more valuable than oil, we will redistribute that to the token holders. That's why you want to add as much value as you can as possible. Bondex is a 3-sided marketplace composed of employers, individual talent, whether they're freelance or permanent, as well as recruiters. And all of those want to act well. They want to use the token earning mechanisms and staking mechanisms to earn as much ownership of the Bondex ecosystem as they can, so that then they can earn in that revenue sharing, because we're going to be splitting all the revenues that we generate with our community and our users that earn that ownership. But it is a meritocracy. The more value that you add, the more value that you will get. This is not just a free-for-all. This is not for token chasers. This is not easy. We are here for a long-term company. We're here for a paradigm shift. We need a better talent marketplace. Currently, it is run by a bunch of middlemen that extract way too much value than they provide, monopolize data, and charge sometimes 30% of someone's yearly salary. We're going to walk away from that model, and we're going to be a democratized, peer-to-peer, disintermediated talent marketplace that is owned by its users, investors, and the operators of the company. It's a distributed business model that is going to revolutionize the world. Let me look at other questions. Okay, our NFTs. We do have an NFT strategy, but it's not going to be a PFP collection that is very speculative and low value and with low utility. You got to think very carefully about product and the way you build it. So our NFT strategy is more of an ER115, and it'll be about tiers, and it'll be about user acquisition of Web3 native people and skills. And we still haven't come up with a full strategy. There's a lot of things to build, but it is in our roadmap. So another question from Daniel O is, what are some of the necessary skills to be efficient and relevant in Web3? So apart from tech skills, which are obviously very high in demand, and then the major languages would be Solidity, as well as Rust, for example. In Rust we trust, right? If I was a developer, I'd be learning those skills, so I would then apply to Web3 jobs. But there's also SQL that can give you, a leg up in any data job for any company, whether they're Web3 or not. But then, listen, whether you're an accountant, a salesperson, a business development person, you don't need to learn the skills that you will need for the job. They will train you at it. It's just a little Web3 taste to it. As long as you're willing to learn and you have an interest in it. So what do the companies that are hiring, they want to see? They want to see that you have an interest in it, that you've made your homework, that you've learned what an NFT is, that you've looked at the different marketplace, maybe that you own an NFT, or maybe that you know what an exchange is and you know the difference between this and that. They just know that you've seen your homework and you have a keen interest and you have previous skills that then you can transfer through learning. That's what they're looking for. So what changes will Bondex bring to Web3? So One of the things that I think happened during this cycle is that, it overheated and there was a lot of excess. And there was a lot of hype and a lot of companies that didn't have solid business models, and they were build things that were not consumer facing. Bondex is a consumer company, and actually I think of ourselves as a Web 2.5. The idea is to become a bridge that enables the whole Web3 ecosystem to grow by increasing the conversion and adoption of people into Web3 through jobs. That is how we will be different and bring something new to Web3. So how can I earn an online job on Bondex? So our plan, our current roadmap is that we've selected, we have 12 partners. We want to increase that up to 15 partners. These are companies that are in Web3 across all the verticals that I've mentioned before. And our plan is to release after the summer a job portal in which you'll be able to apply your job. So what I would recommend you do in the meantime is learn skills, update your profiles, upload your resumes, and put all the relevant data that you can on your profile so that you're ready to match to those jobs when they're ready at the end of the summer. That's what I recommend everyone to do. That's how you're going to be able to get a job. Any other questions that are relevant? Okay, I'm getting a good one. The job that would be listed on Bondex, is it just for technologists and those in crypto space, such as blockchain engineers, software? What about those in the medical field? I'm loving this question. So actually, there will be many types of jobs. We're not just focused on tech and developers. All these companies need is like any startup or any mature company, because there's very large companies in the space. They need business development people, sales, accounting, finance. And in the medical field, yes, there's now something called decentralized science. And actually there's DAOs and other types of projects that need scientists and SMAT and every type of skill. Again, Web3 has now grown and matured into an ecosystem and a level of institutional adoption that you can have any type of skill that it will actually be transferable. You don't need to know everything about Web3 to get a job in Web3. You just need to be ready and open and do some homework. Okay, so this is the time crypto market is time to build. What is Bondex doing differently to stay afloat and this period where the strong project is known? Jennifer Ivy, that is a great question. So we haven't really done a public sale. We haven't, raised money from the public markets and asked our users in our community to give us money. We're privately funded by venture capital. We have very strong venture capital partners that are very confident in us, and they've privately funded our company so that we can last and weather this bear market. That's why we're really just focused on building great product. What are we doing? We're being very disciplined. We're not doing a lot of money on marketing. We're letting it happen in the organic. We have incredibly pervasive effects. We need our community to help us to grow. Invite more friends, invite more people that you think will want these jobs in Web3. And there's also many different types of users. Some users don't necessarily need to have a job in Web3. They just want to have a new part of a professional network and want to stand up to the Web2 companies that have monopolized the market, like the Web2 value flow, and they just want there to be for the crypto news or for the educational portal. Not everyone needs to have a job or want a job or a freelancer job to join Bondex Network. I encourage everyone to join and own part of the future. Sometimes Bondex app's a bit slow when uploading resumes. Is there an upgrade coming to it? Yes, there is an upgrade coming to it. That's what we're working very hard to do. I'm hoping that we are able to release a medium update with a lot of bug fixes that we're putting a lot of love and effort into in the middle of the summer. And then we'll release a more robust version that is ready for our clients and to have the first transactions from getting people hired after the summer. Okay, so do you have any partnership with non-Web3 companies? Not yet, but this is in the pipeline. And the first vertical that we're going after is gaming. But there's other traditional companies that we're in conversations with, and we've had conversation with like traditional financial institutions like JP Morgan or Visa, who all have crypto divisions now and are looking for crypto talent, and they're big hires of those skills. So we do plan to have traditional non-Web3 companies there, because actually a lot of traditional companies will have Web3 capabilities or will adopt Web3. When will we go on sale? Again, the listing, this is not something we want to guarantee because we're not focused on that. And actually, that's something that should be relieved to our community. Why release any token during the current bad conditions? We are focused on delivering value on product, having transactions, a strong community, and enjoying the next cycle when we're going to bring a lot of value to everyone. This is a long-term project. So I encourage everyone that's this part of this community to, again, add as much value you can, earn as much ownership of it as you can. It is going to be well worth your while. Any updates on KYC? We're not doing KYC anymore. KYC is not happening. KYC will be something that will be required depending on the use case that you require on the platform. Eventually, we will have our own wallet, and that will have some APIs to some trading platforms that we're already in chats to with big companies. Some of those will require KYC either from us directly or for them to be able to operate. Will professional skill set be irrelevant in Bondex via Web3, like lawyers seeing the emergence of smart contracts? I actually disagree. Right now, there's very few lawyers with knowledge of Web3 and smart contracts, and those who are learning are actually going to have an advantage and an arbitrage. Right now, the supply of talent in Web3 and knowledge in Web3 is here. The demand for talent and the funding for talent in Web3 is here. There's an arbitrage right now. This happened when we went from Web1 to Web2, Web2 to mobile. There were no iOS or Android developers. So as you can imagine, the salaries of those iOS and Android developers went very high up. So if you go for the skills that are in demand and hot right now and you learn them, you're going to be able to earn very good salaries. And this arbitrage is not going to be open forever. Eventually, the supply will match the demand as adoption increases and the supply on talent increases. So there's never been a better time to go into a Web3 career and start learning about Web3. And I'm not talking about cryptocurrency. I'm not talking about speculation and investment. I'm talking about learning skills to build a company like any other startup or any other company that you would ever see. That was what the focus should be. And that is what will bring you long-term prosperity. The price of Bondex token, we're not giving out a price to anyone yet. This is something that is private to the VCs and something that will be determined later on by the supply and demand in the market. Like any valuation in crypto is determined by supply and demand. We do have some targets and some estimates, but we're not going to publicly release those now. I'm loving these questions, guys. I love how engaged the community is. Please keep them coming. And I understand everyone. Listen, these are difficult times and there's a lot of uncertainty. We've just passed a pandemic, and in my personal opinion, there should have been an economic depression. Obviously, the Fed and all these other institutions pumped too much money into the system, and now we have an inflation that's out of control. We've never been able to get out of 5% or above inflation without a recession. A recession means unemployment, and you already see this. And it's not just in Web3 that's having some layoffs or some companies. It's traditional companies as well. You can see that in the mortgage market, where because of rates have gone up, it's become more expensive. There's going to be less demand for mortgages, and the housing market is cooling off. These companies have immediately already taken a lot of people and layoffs. So I encourage those people that are now without a job to get interested in Web3, because there's still plenty of demand here. There's plenty of demand for a lot of companies that are very healthy in the ecosystem, very large companies that have been very well funded through this last cycle and still have a lot of appetite to hire. Is it true in the first 5 years will be only 35 million tokens in circulation? No, that is not true. Our total supply will be 500 million, but this might change before the final release on the token, and we will rebalance everything on everyone's wallet when the final tokenomics are done. This is why we're taking our time. If you think about it, releasing a web portal, a mobile app, and tokenization at the same time, all at the same time, is a recipe for a lot of complexity and for things to go wrong. So our plan is to go step by step, building block by building block. This means first we've built a beta app and we have a large user base to release a product on. First mobile. Now it's going to be web portal and mobile. Once we have that functioning perfectly in our talent marketplace, then the next step will be to tokenize it and have the blockchain infrastructure underneath it. Another question from Jennifer Ivory. Based on the current market condition, with many crypto companies laying off their employees, especially the exchanges, what measures will Bondex take before and after launch in order to prevent such? If you mean for our own employees, well, what I encourage every company to do is to not overgrow or to grow, in a conscious way. One of the companies that have done this well is FTX. They have a much smaller team than a lot of other competitors or kind of comps, and they've done that more sustainably. So if you overhire, the moment that the market cools off, you're going to have to release some of that overheating that you did. So what I recommend any company is to hire sustainably, not overhire because the market's hot and I have too much money and I'm growing very fast. growth comes at a price, and it becomes more expensive to have to fire all these people afterward that weren't the right fit. So I recommend everyone to have very strong hiring policies. And this is something that we will help companies do as well. How to hire for Web3, how to sustainably hire, what's the team size. So what of the unskilled? Is there a consideration for them? This is Friday Berber. Absolutely, there's a consideration from them. The Bondex mission is to make the whole global labor market more efficient. If you are smart and hardworking and you have an internet connection and you can learn and have skills and reskill and upskill yourself, you should have access to the American dream anywhere in the world. The problem right now is that there's not an infrastructure that provides the trust so that anywhere in the world, no matter where you are in an emerging country or not, that you can exchange your work and your labor to a company that is in the West. We are going to change that through accreditations and education and validated interest. We're going to change the way the resume is seen today. A resume today is completely obsolete and increasingly more and more. It's just a PDF. It's just a static view of what someone's done. What we want to change it is into something dynamic, something that gives me a real 360 view of someone's potential as a professional. And that's what we're going to be changing into. On the 25 million for mining, listen, there's not just only 25 million for mining, but the operating company will collect revenues from the ecosystem and then redistribute them back into the reward pool. The reward pool will never be extinguished. What you have to do if you want to earn more from the reward pool is maintain a high rating. How do you maintain a high rating? By adding value to the ecosystem. Depending on your role, if you're an individual talent, that is by updating your data more regularly, putting all your skills and credentials, and eventually, taking tests that validate those, earning proof of knowledge NFTs, putting your validated interest, the communities that you participate on, in your NFT or your DAOs or your gaming guilds and the games that you like. We want to see everything about you, and the more that you add, the more that you will earn. This is a meritocracy. It's not just about building, a tokenized professional network. It's about having earning and staking mechanisms that create a meritocracy. This means that you got to behave well and you got to put your money where your mouth is as well. It's about decreasing the noise and the spam and making interconnectedness more ethical. Right now, when you have social media, they've created all these kind of mechanisms to trigger dopamine and for you to be addicted to all these social media channels. And when you look at LinkedIn, in my opinion, it's just full of spam. Our idea here is to create a more ethical form of professional network through a true tokenized meritocracy. Earning and staking mechanisms. That is our plan. So when we should expect a Bondex update? As I said, our plan is to release an update at some point this summer on our app and then our marketplace, and start changing jobs with our limited partnerships in September or right after September. So do I think DeFi is the reason behind the current crypto crash? What can Bondex do to solve the general crypto token mindedness in the crypto communities? So I don't think DeFi is the current crash. I think the crash was obviously triggered by Luna, but that's just the first domino of many dominoes. Then a lot of other companies that over-levered themselves or were not doing the right business models are going to suffer through them. But this is natural. This is what happened in the crash of the 2000s with pets.com and other companies like that. Some companies have just been built on hype and marketing and without the right business models. And look at Three Arrows Capital now. They did some things that were not right. It's healthy for these companies to be wiped out. That means investors will have to suffer, and same with the communities. But the right companies that are strong and they're disciplined and they're here to stay and navigate this, they're going to be very big companies. So it's about finding those right companies and getting involved in those communities and giving value to those communities, right? That will pay off in the future. So you just got to bet on the right ones. But I'm not going to lie to you, I think 95% of the companies that we have today will probably die. So it's about, again, finding that 5%. How do you find that 5%? Stick to your gut. Things that match your values, things that you think are good for the world, and products that you believe that people need and use, not just thinking about speculation and about monetary gain. All right, guys, I think we're now nearing the end of the project, and I just want to wish everyone a good end of the week. I hope, this was very, I hope this was very, very informative for everyone. We talked about, the market conditions, what it means for companies, for example, that are in our stage, which we're a seed company with a large user base, what it means for the future. I've given you an update on what we're going to be releasing in the near future. And I've given you an update on, or some advice on how I would navigate a general recession, the Web3 crypto market, and everything else. But just know that Web3 is here to stay. The applications are endless. They're going to change a lot of industries. But we've just had a lot of excess and hype, and now is the time to build real value, real functional products that consumers and businesses will use. And that is what Bondex is about. That is what Bondex is building, and that is what we're aiming to do. And I just want to wish everyone a good week. I hope everyone got some of their nerves calmed a little bit. There's a lot of panic. And you also got to realize media sells more clicks out of panic and anxiety than anything else. Okay, so stop listening to the noise and focus on the things you can control, which is yourself. What can you do? If you get laid off, focus on reskilling and upskilling into skills that are still in demand. Always be learning. Always be learning. Always be hungry. Always be curious. I just want to say thank you to everyone again, and I will hope everyone has a great week. Goodbye.